What's up, guys? Welcome back to Inside Out Precision. Before we get started with today's video, I want to mention InsideOutPrecision.com. We've got all sorts of merch available, decals, coffee mugs, t-shirts, hoodies, tank tops, all sorts of good stuff. So if you want to support the channel, look fresh, shoot better, head on over to InsideOutPrecision.com and check out the website. So shameless plug is over. Now we're going to talk about the subject, which is finding an archery instructor. So I get so many questions, on how do I find a good instructor? How do I find a good coach? I do lessons here 5-6 days a week, a lot of the year, except during like elk season, basically. And I do a lot of online coaching, but there's only so much you can do online. There's so many, things that I need to be able to see in detail and kind of be more hands-on with. But hopefully this video will help you in the right direction of finding an archery coach that can help you elevate your shooting game to the next level. So the easiest thing to do is if you go to usaarchery.com, there is an instructor and coach locator. So basically you're going to put in your zip code where you live, and then it will bring up the names of all the instructors in your area. Now there's a couple things you really want to pay attention to and look for. So there's 5 levels of instructors in USA Archery. There's level 1, level 2, 3, 4, 5. Obviously, the higher the level, the more experience the person has and the more knowledge they have. In my opinion, you need at least a level 3, and there's not a lot of them out there. The reason for that is because a level 1 instructor is literally like most people that are just a level 1 do it as a technicality to get certified to run like a Boy Scout camp. Like it's very basic knowledge. It's how to shoot, little Genesis bows, and very minimal knowledge on shooting a compound. Like they basically have 11 steps that they're going to tell you to go through, but most of them don't have a lot of experience themselves. They're not a competitive shooter. They might bow hunt, maybe, I don't know, but they probably don't have a lot of shooting experience. They most likely got the certification so that they can get the insurance coverage through USA Archery to run, archery at like a summer camp, or like I said, a Boy Scout camp, or the Archery in the Schools program, stuff like that. Level 2, they've got more knowledge about shooting a compound bow, but it's still not real in depth. Again, they're going to kind of just replay the manual, so to speak, of what they have learned. That's not to say that it won't point you in the right direction. It's going to get you the fundamentals down. But again, in my experience, level 2 people don't have a ton of experience. Now, it's worth sending them an email and asking. For example, I actually only have a level 2. I basically only got my certification because I wanted to be able to coach Maya, who, if you've followed this channel for a while, you might remember Maya. She was my little all-star student. She was actually on the junior U.S. national team. And in order for me to be able to be her coach at these tournaments, I had to get my at least level 2 certification. So that's why I did it. Now, level 3, most of the people that dedicate the time to get to level 3 are going to be pretty involved in the sport. They're probably shooting local leagues. They're probably doing lessons, running JOAD clubs, stuff like that. It's a pretty in-depth course to get your level 3 certification. Not only are they going to have good information on form and shooting, but also how to work on equipment. So they're, if you go to them and you're shooting and they say, oh, we need to lengthen your draw length, they're going to know how to do that. Or, oh, we need to move your peep sight up, they're going to know how to do that. 4 and 5 is pretty top notch. That's going to be really hard to find, to be honest. Back east, you're probably going to have a little better luck just because there's a lot more target archery back there, higher population density, all that. But that's a good position to start in terms of finding a certified instructor. Is usaarchery.com. Put in your zip code, it'll bring up those names of the instructors. Now, personally, when I was coming up, I never had like a formal coach. I wasn't in USA Archery. I didn't do that. I was very fortunate where I work now at the Bow Rack. The owner, Wayne here, was a really good competitive shooter for a long time. He's won all sorts of stuff, as well as a really accomplished bow hunter. And he was a great mentor. But when I really started getting into the competitive stuff, I would literally go to these tournaments, most of them local, but in almost every state, there's going to be a couple pros that go to these tournaments. And I would just ask them, like, hey, can I pay you for a lesson? And usually they were really, really happy to oblige. Usually they wouldn't even charge me. They say, oh yeah, let's go shoot some arrows, man. And I'd learn some key pointers. So if you have a local shop, most likely they're going to have some sort of league there. So first I would inquire with the shop and ask if they do lessons, like we do here. But if they do not do lessons, what I would do is go to the local league, just hang out. Even if you haven't shot your bow yet or you're a brand new shooter, shoot, ask questions, see who's shooting the best scores there, and then just ask them like, hey, can I pay you, $25 for a half hour of your time, and just go over some basic form fundamentals. One thing I love about the sport of archery is, in my experience, everybody is extremely willing to help. Even these professionals that you see that lots of people think, oh, they don't want to be bothered, they're pros, whatever. They want to see the sport progress and evolve and expand, and the only way to do that is to help people get involved and actually like it. If nobody was willing to help, nobody would ever get better, and they're just going to quit, right? Like if you can't hit a 5-inch group at 20 yards after 6 months of shooting, most people are going to say, this just isn't for me, and give it up. So like I said, a lot of people are going to be really, really willing to help. So head to your local range, your local league, your local shop, whatever it is, ask if there's any competitive shooters or really experienced shooters that do lessons. And yeah, see if they're willing to help. Now there are a couple questions that I would ask. Like if you're calling around different shops asking, if they do lessons or not, there's a lot of people who might give a lesson and give you really bad information. Like just because they give lessons doesn't necessarily mean that they know what they're talking about. So what I would ask personally is, first, how long have you been shooting? Secondly, have you ever shot competitively, or do you currently shoot competitively? And third, do you work with all different kinds of people, or do you only work with like adults? Because some people only coach kids. It's like they don't do adult lessons. Some people don't like working with kids. They only work with adults. So again, kind of, how long have you been shooting? What's your experience with competitive archery and bow hunting? And then, what's your background basically? Like how long have you been coaching people? And hopefully they're honest with you. Some people will tell you, oh yeah, I've been a 6-time state champion, and then you try to find their name online and it's nowhere. So with the online resources now, you can pretty much get anybody's history that you want. So get their name, do a little bit of research, and should be pretty well set. Like I said, it's hard, in my opinion, to find somebody who not only knows what they're talking about, but can convey that information in a way that is easy to understand for somebody. Good coaches are not something that's really, really popular. I mean, I with my experience in USA Archery, there's a lot of coaches there, quite honestly, that just, it's like they try to just make everybody a spitting image of one another. Like they're not adapting the concepts of the information that they've learned to the individual athlete. They're just trying to make everybody cookie cutter. It's like, nope, your arm needs to be locked. This hand has to be perfectly under the jaw here, blah, blah, blah. And there's a lot of variation there, A good example of that is that Maya girl. When she went to the first Junior Dream Team camp, which you have to go to in order to kind of get into the program to get onto the U.S. national team, I'd been working with her for, I think, 2 years. I mean, they had everybody shoot a score at the beginning of the camp. She beat all but 2 of the girls there. So there's like 25 kids at this camp. She beat all but 2 of the girls there who were on the U.S. national team. And then they decided that her arm had a little too much bend in it. So they lengthened her draw length 1.5 inches. So mind you, Maya was barely 5 feet tall at this time. And she came back she was at a 25-inch draw length when she went there. She came back with a 27.5-inch draw length. And she was literally like elbow locked out. Like she could not, it was everything she could do to keep that bow at full draw. And her scores just plummeted. So we hit the reset button. We put things pretty much back to where they were, and her scores came right back up. Some people can shoot with a really locked out arm. Me personally and Maya, I can hyperextend my elbows. So if I get past a certain point, that elbow hyperextends, and it can't decide if it wants to bend or hyperextend, and it'll just sit there and like shake. So I have to shoot with just a slight bend in my arm. I can't be fully locked out. And a good coach will recognize these things and adapt the concepts of, you know, the USA Archery curriculum to the individual athlete. You might get lucky and find a coach that's just awesome right out of the gate. Most likely, if you're really committed to it, you're going to go through probably 2, 3, 4 guys before you find one who you mesh with really well. So I know that's kind of a long-winded explanation on what would seem like a pretty simple subject, but like I said, I get asked so many questions on this, on, you know, who's a good coach, where can I go, this, that, and the other. And so I thought I'd just make a video kind of explaining what I would do if I was looking for a coach. You know, I've been doing this for 23 years now, and I've seen it all. Well, I haven't seen it all. I don't want to say I've seen it all. I've seen a lot. And this is kind of like I said, what I would do if I was looking for a coach, or telling somebody what to do if they were looking for a coach. So hope that helps, guys. Hit me up if you have any questions. Remember, precision is a decision. Keep them in the middle. I'll see you on the range.